The sun was burning the dusty horizon, spilling golden light across a half-dead town that had seen better days. Wooden saloons leaned crookedly, paint stripped by wind and sand, and the faint creak of a shutter tapped out the rhythm of silence. It was the kind of place where men carried grudges heavier than their pistols, and women had eyes sharp enough to see through any lie a drifter might tell. In the center of that town, boots grinding against the dirt road, walked Jed Callahan, a cowboy with a scar that carved from his jawline down to his collarbone, a reminder of the knife fight that earned him both respect and enemies across the frontier. His hat cast a shadow low over his eyes, but it couldn't hide the storm that brewed in them. He wasn't here for whiskey. He wasn't here for cards. He was here because someone had stolen something from him, and Jed Callahan wasn't the kind of man to let that slide. Across the street, Naya, the Apache Woman, leaned against a post outside the trading post. Her leather dress was adorned with turquoise beads that shimmered faintly in the dying sun, and her raven black hair hung in a thick braid down her shoulder. She had been watching the cowboy since he first rode into town 2 days ago, watching the way he carried himself, the way he never sat with his back to a door, the way his hand always hovered near his Colt, like a hawk circling prey. Naya had warned him once already, told him this town belonged to Duke Ransom, the outlaw who ruled with a shotgun and a pack of cutthroats. But Jed didn't heed warnings. Cowboys like him rarely did. Now, as he stepped into the open, a low rattle whispered through the dust, a sound sharp enough to slice the silence in half. Naya's eyes darted downward. "Cowboy, what's that rattlesnake doing between your legs?" she shouted, her voice carrying like thunder across the empty street. Jed froze. For a split second, confusion flashed in his eyes. Then realization set in. Inches from his boots, coiled and ready to strike, was a rattler as thick as his wrist, its tongue tasting the air, fangs glinting with venom. Jed didn't panic. His kind never did. Slowly, his hand eased away from his gun and reached for the Bowie knife sheathed at his belt. The rattler hissed louder, tail buzzing like a war drum. Naya clenched her fists, ready to spring if the cowboy made one wrong move. Then, like lightning, Jed struck. Steel flashed in the sunlight, and before the snake could strike, its head was pinned into the dirt. Dust swirled around him as he pressed his boot down, blade steady, eyes never wavering. The town was quiet again, except for the dying rattle fading into silence. Naya exhaled sharply, a mixture of relief and frustration. "You're either the bravest fool I've ever seen, or the luckiest. That thing nearly had you." Jed looked up, the corner of his mouth curling into the faintest grin. "Darlin', if a rattler's the worst thing I gotta face in this town, then I reckon I'll sleep easy tonight." But Naya's expression hardened. She stepped closer, her voice low enough for only him to hear. "You don't get it, cowboy. That snake was just a warning. Duke's men are watching you. If you keep walking around here like you own the place, you'll find more than fangs waiting in the dirt." Jed's grin faded, and his jaw tightened. "Good. I was hoping Duke would hear I'm in town, saves me the trouble of hunting him down." Naya's eyes narrowed. She didn't know whether to admire his courage or curse his recklessness. But one thing was certain. The cowboy had just stepped into a nest of snakes far deadlier than the one he killed at his feet. And the sun was setting on a showdown that would shake the Wild West to its bones.